right.
Sorry, guys.
We'll do an audio level check. Everybody tracking. Everybody's audio levels up. All right. I'm Colonel Christopher Garver. I'm the PAO for 3 Corps. Thank you all for your patience and for coming tonight. I'm going to introduce Lieutenant General Mark A. Milley, the commander of U.S. 3rd Corps. He'll make a statement about what he can right now, and then he'll take your questions after that. Raise your hand if you have a question, and we'll direct you as to when it's time to go ahead and ask your question. All right, so the commander of 3rd Corps, Lieutenant General Mark A. Milley.
Hey, good evening. I'd like to start off first with condolences to the killed and wounded soldiers here at Fort Hood from an incident this afternoon at approximately 1600 or 4 p.m. Today, a soldier assigned to 13th Sustainment Command Expeditionary fired shots at individuals within the unit areas here, within the 1st Medical Brigade area and the 49th Transportation Battalion area. Post immediately went into lockdown, and we have now lifted the lockdown as of about 30 or 45 minutes ago. Within 15 minutes, first responders from the military police and the emergency services responded to the scene, engaged the shooter, and the shooter is dead from a self-inflicted gunshot wound. In regard to the investigation, at this time, there is no indication that this incident is related to terrorism, although we are not ruling anything out, and the investigation continues. An investigation by various law enforcement officers at federal level from ATF and FBI, at the state level from the Texas Rangers, the Texas State Police, along with local law enforcement of KPD and Harker Heights, along with Army CID and Army Military Police. We have confirmed that there are 3 victims who were killed, and then the shooter was killed. And there are 16 injured being treated at Scott and White and here at Darnell. Our thoughts and prayers go out to each of those injured and their families, and the killed and their families. Our focus now is to focus on the families of the injured and focus on the families of the killed. Ensure that they have the best care and counseling available. And I do ask the Fort Hood community or anyone in the local community, if they have any information relating to this incident, to please contact either the FBI or the Fort Hood Department of Emergency Services. Events in the past have taught us many things here at Fort Hood. We know the community is strong, we know the community is resilient, and we know the soldiers and the civilians and the families of this fort who have served so bravely in combat over the last 13 years in both Iraq and Afghanistan are strong, and we will get through this. Thanks to all who have supported us. Thanks to the local community who has supported us over the last several hours and many years. And thanks also specifically to Scott and White for their excellent medical care and their ability to handle additional casualties. And with that, I will take your questions. Well, we do not know a motive. We do know that this soldier had behavioral health and mental health issues and was being treated for that.
What's his name?
At this point, his next of kin has not been notified, so I am not going to confirm his name. We do have his name, but the next of kin have not been notified, so I'll wait until that's been done. He has served in combat. He served 4 months in Iraq in 2011. He was currently under diagnosis for PTSD, but he had not yet been diagnosed for PTSD.
Can you describe what happened? Walk us through it.
It's under investigation. The exact sequence of events and timeline of events are not 100% clear. It is believed that he walked into one of the unit buildings, opened fire, got into a vehicle, fired from a vehicle, got out of the vehicle, walked into another building, and opened fire again, and then was engaged by local law enforcement here at Fort Hood.
Billy said Chris can send you the Express News, sir.
I'm sorry?
Sid Christensen with the Express News and First newspapers. Did he begin this thing with an argument? We heard that there was an argument in the WTU, and that is how this started, and that he also was using a semi-automatic handgun of some kind.
He was using a 45 caliber Smith & Wesson semi-automatic pistol that was purchased recently in the local area. I am not aware of an argument at the WTU. There are some initial reports there may have been an argument in one of the unit areas, but don't have any indication of an argument at WTU.
Had he been in the WTU?
He had not been assigned here to the WTU.
Had he been in another?
That we don't know. We're checking his background. He recently arrived at Fort Hood in February from another installation, and we're checking with the other installation to determine the background of the soldier. And obviously we are digging deep into his background, any criminal history, psychiatric history, his experiences in combat, all of the things that you would expect us to be doing are being done right now.
Were all the injured were
I'll come back to you. Hang on just a second. Go ahead.
were all of the injured soldiers were because of the gunfire or something else?
They were a result of the gunfire, either direct wounds from the gunfire. Some cases there was some glass that shattered, and some have some superficial wounds from that. Others, one was jumping a fence and got injured there, but it was a result of.
Sir, was this soldier in the process of being transitioned out of the military?
He was not in the process of being transitioned out of the military, to my knowledge, at this time.
General, can you say where his body was found? Was it in his car, next to his car, in the street, next to the building?
His body was found in the parking lot where he was engaged by military police.
When you say engaged, can you describe how they engaged this?
Military police officer responded, and he was approaching her at about 20 feet. He put his hands up, then reached under his jacket, pulled out the 9mm, and she pulled out her weapon, and then she engaged, and then he put the weapon to his head, and he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Go ahead.
How are you able to rule out terrorism?
I'm not ruling out terrorism. All I'm saying is there's no indication of it at this time. We have FBI and all the appropriate federal agencies and all of the various organizations searching all the internet, Twitter, Facebook, and all the normal association you would do, and the investigation on that part is ongoing. We do not have any indications of that right now, but I'm not ruling that out. Say again?
You haven't completely ruled out terrorism.
We are not ruling in or out anything.
Congressman McCall said today that in light of the private Abdo strikes in 2011 and Major Hassan in 2009, that he's fearful that Fort Hood might be becoming a target, a jihadist target. Do you share that concern?
I'm not sure I understood what he said, but no, I don't have Fort Hood as a specific target, any other installation.
Did you tell us if you had any family on post?
The soldier is married, does have family, and again, we're in the process of notification.
Were they here, sir, or were they living in some other part?
They're in the local area, that's correct.
Were any of the victims known to the soldier?
I do not know that.
How many total weapons did he have?
To our knowledge, he had one weapon, 45 caliber Smith & Wesson.
What normally takes place in this?
That's the. If I said 9mm, I misspoke. It's a 45 caliber Smith & Wesson.
What normally goes on in this?
Don't know how much ammunition.
What normally goes on in that building? What's it?
It's a headquarters building where they conduct the day-to-day administration of the medical brigade, and then in the other building they conduct the day-to-day administration of a transportation battalion.
Is this a building he would visit often?
They're not far away from each other.
Is this a building he would have gone to regularly or routinely?
The 49th Transportation Battalion, yes, he would have gone to that on occasion for administration purposes. That's his higher headquarters.
For his treatment?
No, not for his treatment. That's his unit headquarters. I did not say his rank nor his name, and I'll do that when his family is appropriately notified.
General, what type of treatment was he undergoing?
He was undergoing behavioral health and psychiatric treatment for depression and anxiety and a variety of other psychological and psychiatric issues.
But he was not in the WTU at the time?
He was not assigned to the WTU at the time.
General, the female officer who engaged him, how would you describe what she did to him?
It was clearly heroic, what she did at that moment in time, and she did her job, and she did exactly what we would expect of a United States Army military police.
Did you say he was under a diagnosis?
He was not diagnosed as of today with PTSD. He was undergoing a diagnosis process to determine if he had PTSD. That is a lengthy process to be confirmed with PTSD.
Was he diagnosed with traumatic brain injury?
There are reports, I don't know if he was diagnosed in the clinical sense. There are reports that he self-reported a traumatic brain injury previously, coming back from the Iraq tour.
Any sort of medication,
He was on medications, that's correct.
like SSRIs or antidepressants, things of that nature?
Yes,
Sir,
he
you
was.
said he came from another installation?
He was not a wounded warrior. He was not wounded in action to our records. No Purple Heart, not wounded in action in that regard.
Sir, you said he came from another installation in February. Can you tell us which one that is?
At this time, I'd prefer not. I mean, I got folks calling that installation, talking to their chain of command in order to determine all the background information of the soldier.
What states?
I'm sorry?
What
What
states?
state?
States where the other installation was? State?
It's here in Texas. Okay, a couple more questions. Yes, ma'am. All of the wounded and killed were military.
Sir, what can you tell us about the protocol as far as carrying the type of weapon that the soldier has and other soldiers that are allowed on base? What can you tell us about security?
If you have a weapon and you're on base, it's supposed to be registered on base. This weapon was not registered on base.
General, what was your reaction the first thing that went through your mind when you heard there had been another shooting at Fort Hood?
Immediate reaction was casualties. What kind of casualties, and do we have one or more shooters, and are those shooters secure, and to provide the protection for the local community.
Was the FBI already on the scene? The alerts that they gave out about Monday regarding the possible mass shooting?
We have a local FBI liaison officer, but no, large FBI, assets were not here. They are actually inbound to help with the investigation. But no, there's local FBI available to us.
General, after 2009, a lot of programs were placed in to help soldiers that were dealing with issues coming back from service. In light of what's happened today, are you concerned that those programs have gaps in them?
We'll have to re-examine all of those programs and see if there were any gaps. So I'm not ready to answer that just yet.
General, you know that over the years now we've had three. This is the third one that we've had. First was Hassan, Nasser Abdo, and now this. Are you concerned beyond the fact that this is not the first time? Are you concerned that this place is becoming a target for people for whatever reason? I mean, would your reaction have been when this began? Not again here.
My reaction was not again here. My reaction was to immediately make sure we had a read on the casualties, immediately secure the site, and immediately look for one or more shooters, and to secure the installation. I wasn't thinking about not again or any of that.
What do you think now?
Right now, my concern is with the families of those that are injured and those that were killed.
General,
You talked about another response discussion about soldiers being allowed to carry a concealed weapon for self-defense. What are your thoughts on soldiers carrying concealed weapons on base?
You're not allowed to carry concealed weapons on base. No, I don't think soldiers should have concealed weapons on base. We have law enforcement agents. We're trained professionals, and I don't endorse carrying concealed weapons on base. It was within minutes. Exact time, probably 10 to 15 maybe, max.
Saying that you should have concealed weapons, but it's still basically
I think the law enforcement acted very rapidly and swiftly, given the nature of this circumstance. Yeah, I'm not going to get in a debate with you on carrying weapons on a military installation.
Sir, you mentioned that you purchased this handgun.
Say again?
Can you tell us anything about the gender of the
No, I don't have the specifics, and I'd rather not go into that. The shooter was a male, and the officer that engaged the shooter was a female. But the other injured, no, I don't. Say again? Probably about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, but we don't have an exact timeline.
General, in light of the fact that this is the third incident,
Yeah, let me go to someone else. Anyone else? Go ahead.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about how the changes made to security procedures and safety procedures in the wake of the Hassan shooting informed your response to today's?
Well, I think the response from the law enforcement and the medical folks displayed clear lessons learned from the previous case, and I think that it was obvious that the response was swift and it was appropriate, both from a law enforcement perspective and from a medical perspective. Last question?
Sir, you mentioned that the suspect had bought the weapon a couple days before. How much indication do you have of premeditation here? Was there anything tied to the timing of it? Was there something going on at this building?
I do not know, and that'll be part of the investigation. Don't know any idea about the premeditation.
General, I do want to follow up with a question.
Last question, go ahead.
Considering that he did have a weapon that was not registered, he carried it on base, are you considering changing the protocol or practices of how you can check the vehicle as it's approaching base, considering this just happened?
I will be reviewing all of those procedures, that's correct.
General, would you try to-
So thank you very much, I appreciate it. Also appreciate your support. We will hold a regular press conference daily until we get all of the information out into the public that we have. It's appropriate. I don't have a time for that, but the first one obviously will be tomorrow. And Colonel Chris Garver, our public affairs officer, will put that out. And I just ask for all your thoughts and prayers for the fallen and for the wounded in this particular case. Thank you very much.
General, I know an old colleague here.
Hey, as General Milley said, first event will be